In this episode of Going For It with Becker, I sit down with Krystal Lane out of San Diego, California. And this podcast is a masterclass in playing the long game. Krystal got into real estate in 2012, and she dove in headfirst, built a reputation on relationships and referrals, and has spent the last decade quietly compounding her way to the top. Just recently, she closed a $6.3 million listing, a number that would have been unthinkable to her when she first started. And her income is pushing $500,000 a year. What sets Krystal apart is not a flashy strategy. It's the way she shows up for people long after the commission check clears, and the way that she turns problems into solutions before her clients even have time to get concerned. One of the really interesting things that we talked about is why she stayed at the same brokerage for over a decade, why everyone around her is switching brokers, it seems like on a monthly basis, and how she manages the emotional side of a volatile market, and what she attributes her ability to keep clients coming back again and again. I think you'll really enjoy this one, so let's get into it. Welcome to another episode of Going For It with Becker. I'm James Becker, and Krystal, thank you for being here. How are you
Thanks for
doing
having
today?
me. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day in San Diego. Nothing to complain about.
Let's talk a little bit about your real estate career. How long have you been doing this?
Sure. So I got into real estate in 2012, and was new to the business and thought that I would maybe do a couple deals a year. My kids were just born at the time, so I was thinking of this as like a, you know, part-time opportunity, but dove into real estate head first and had really good success early in my career. And I've been doing it ever since. I've been with the same brokerage since I started. ST Homes, we're local here in Southern California, but been able to grow my business throughout San Diego and Southern California.
Let's talk a little bit about staying with the same brokerage, because I think that's something that's really interesting. Very few agents stay at the same brokerage. I am one that is an advocate of staying with the same broker that you're at, so long as it's a fair deal. But so many agents change brokerages, and I think it's primarily because they become complacent. They get a lot of attention from a new broker that's trying
Sure.
to woo them over. But there's a great saying that I love. I think it's a 12-step saying. Not sure, but the saying goes, no matter where you go, there you are. And um, tell me what has been the benefit of being at the same broker for a decade and a half comparison to what you see your contemporaries doing, which I,
Sure.
I think the average is every 3 years they're switching.
I'll tell you, you know, there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of great companies out there. And like you said, they package and they woo you and try to court you, into moving over to their company. Um, and, who knows where my career would be if I switched, but I, take a lot of pride in staying loyal to my company and loyal to my brand. And my brand also incorporates the brokerage, which is SD Homes. So, I've always felt like I've grown to be Krystal with SD Homes. And if I switch companies, then my message, my brand has to change accordingly. Um, and they've grown with me. They've seen me start out where my average deal was, three, $400,000, and now seen it grow to over $1 million and, work the luxury market. So I feel like they've been a part of my career path and they've treated me well. And yes, there's maybe some opportunity outside there. And I've, interviewed and listen to some other pitches and other companies, but at the end of the day, I feel like they're buying your book of business. They want me, but they want my data, my clients, my
Yep.
CRM. And
Yep.
all of these companies want you to upload it into their new portal once you move over to their company. And now they
Yep.
have your clientele.
Yep.
Um, and so they hope you stay forever, but they're okay if you leave in a couple of years because you brought all that information to them.
Yep.
So
I think it's really hard for them to take that information and really do anything with it because the only value that is in that database is the connection to you. People want to do business
yeah,
with Krystal. They don't want to do business with Susie at Compass or John at EXP or whatever, just because that brokerage is there. You are the value. You are the under. But I think what happens is that um, that they have an opportunity to keep you long term. But I've heard over and over again from people who change brokers that it's great initially, and but then they have the same problems that they had before they left, and new things to deal with. But I I don't. I think changing brokers sometimes is a good thing.
hmm,
There are brokers that may not be staying with the market that is using emotional manipulation to keep somebody in a deal, and so it has to be a fair deal for what the market holds. But for the most part, when people and it can be very good when people change, but for the most part, changing a brokerage, it takes a long time to get everything back up and going and being consistent.
yes,
And it's a change for your consumer who knows
right.
that you're at one place and now you're at another place. And I don't necessarily think that an agent that's changing a brokerage that they've been associated with a long time necessarily equates to a good thing in the consumer's eyes.
Sure.
And so it's an interesting phenomenon because, it's what's the old movie Trading Places, the
Hmm.
Eddie Murphy movie.
Yeah,
That's kind of what it feels like to a certain extent. So talk to us about your business.
sure. So I am a one girl team. I run my own business. It's myself. I have my marketing team with Fusion, of course, my TC, and a couple agents that help with showings and some runaround. But I run the show. So when you hire me, you get me. And I like to keep, you know, my business local and consistent. And I've um, explored all different areas in Southern California. I don't limit myself to a certain zip code or city. So I like to go where my clients go. And as they move and change properties over the year, I still want to be the agent that they call and contact, even if they're moving to a different zip code or different town or different part of San Diego and even beyond. Even if they're moving out of state, I want to be the one to, be a resource for them to connect with the right agent in the right area.
Yeah. So one of the things about you that Carl has shared with me is that you are a person who does a lot of business, and you've been very consistent. Very few real estate agents are consistent over a long period of time. That they burn out, and you are doing great. You just had one of your top sales ever, I think.
Yeah.
Closed on a $6.3 million listing, representing the seller,
Yes.
and your income is pushing $500,000 in the last 12 months in gross income. And again, very few agents have the ability to sustain long term. And you don't strike me as a person who's doing sprints. You've just been really steady, and there's been a compounding effect. Can you share a little bit about what your thoughts are, and why have you been able to sustain a long-term existence as an agent and have the success that you're having?
Sure. I Most of my business comes from referrals and past clients. So I'm not the agent that loves cold calling, door knocking. That's not me. I attribute a lot of my success to fusion and making sure that I stay top of mind with my friends, family, and clientele. And fortunately for me, a lot of these people come back to me for second, third, fourth transactions. So I've been really blessed with great friends and referral partners that when someone's talking about selling real estate and they recommend me, they're not just sending their name, like they're talking them into working with me. You really need to call Krystal, even if you're talking to somebody else, like give her a try, give her an interview. And a lot of those times, I win that opportunity and earn that trust of that client and also the referral client or friend that referred me. I want to make sure that they're going to bring up my name again and I have this positive influence in their life in the real estate aspect.
So that's really interesting. You say that you have all these people coming back over and over and over again, because NAR has a statistic where they survey buyers. I don't know if it's every other year or every year, but um, regardless, they do this consistent surveying. And on a regular basis, when people close deals, they say that it's like 95% or 90% would use the same agent again.
Yeah.
But in reality, less than 15% or less than 16%, I don't have the exact numbers, but that's close to it, actually do.
Yeah.
So, why do you think you have been so successful at actually building that book of business and maintaining those relationships? What is your secret to that?
I would say my secret is just constant reach outs, socially, like the business contract and relationship sometimes ends at closing when they get the keys, but just staying a friend, making sure to send them a happy birthday message online or, let them know about a house that's for sale in the neighborhood or that their property value went up, interest rates went down, and just stay in communication with them. And also let them know it's okay to reach out to me with your little questions. Like some people feel like you're too big or you're too busy to help out, but I want them to reach out to me, if they need a painter or, they're not sure if they should refi or they need help with an appraisal. Like I'm not too big for those tasks because at the end of the day, all of this helps them, financially with their real estate asset. And then my hope is that when they're ready to sell, I'm one of the ones that they pick to interview. Sometimes I don't get, selected. For example, I have a listing I just put on the market today. I'd interviewed with a client a couple of years ago that I had sold the house originally. And at the end of the day, they went with a different agent. This was a couple of years ago. The house went on the market, but just didn't sell at that time at that price. But I wasn't negative about not getting it. I wished them luck and watched it and hoped it would sell. But here we are a couple of years later, we met and talked again, and they said, "Hey, we want to use you." And we just put the house back on the market today, and it's going to sell this time.
That's awesome. I think, you really embody our slogan that we trademarked, which is what we want our agent partners to do, which is two things, which is make friends and serve people. And you really do a great job of that. If it's connected to a commission check or not. And
Right.
you've been around me for a long time, and the number one fundamental, business fundamental that I really preach all the time is, and it sounds so silly, but is to become the agent that you would personally hire. And you certainly are that, and you've done that. And But that's really hard for some people to do because it actually means you have to care about people.
Yeah.
You have to do what you say you're gonna do. You have to call people back when you say you're gonna call them back. You have to care about them first before the commissions, and it's really difficult to do that. And it's also really difficult to do that if you're not successful because you need that commission check to make your mortgage
Right.
payment or to make your rent payment. And I mean, our business is a brutal business. You came out of the chute doing well. What do you think, without having any experience, what made you successful in the beginning?
I would say communication is really the core of what I do very well. And I pick up the phone a lot. I mean, there are some clients that I've done multi-million dollar deals and they love to text. They only want to text, and I get that. But if I can pick up the phone and explain something or communicate a message that is hard to do through an email, I try to get, all parts of the communication, not just the message, but the tone and the emotion and, maybe an explanation
Tonality is so
behind it.
important.
Yeah. So just trying to, educate my clients, show them what their options are, and ultimately they make the decision. But if I line out the path for them and lead them to what I think would be a successful transaction, and I also try to be drama free, you know. I try to get along with other agents and not stir the pot when
That's
it
a rarity in our business. Our business is a little like Hollywood to me. Like there's so much ego.
there is. There is. And sometimes you have to play into it, and I have to definitely play that game with certain agents. Um, but my message is I play well in the sandbox, and it has won me deals for clients because agents that I know that have worked with me are like, if we have multiple offers, they know how I work, how I'm not going to start drama or create hurdles that aren't there. I like to problem solve, and we're at the end of the day, we're all trying to reach the same goal.
Tell me a little bit about your mindset with your business. You again, you've been consistent, um, and you play the long game. What do you? How do you think you approach business differently in your mindset than the vast majority of agents who suffer from the roller coaster of commissions in business and the
Yeah.
stress that goes along with that, by the way.
I would say, experience being in multiple markets. You know, I've been in markets where it takes 6 months to a year to sell a house, and that was normal. And then I've been in markets where you put a home on the market and have 25 offers. So I've seen it fluctuate and I've seen real estate change, quite a bit in the last few years. And just being able to go with the flow in the market.
Yeah, so you're going with the flow. That's what you're doing on the outside. But, how do you discipline yourself to control your emotions, to control your staff, your stress? What is your mindset? Like, what is the internal conversation that you're having with yourself about business versus what you think maybe some other people
Sure.
are doing?
So when I'm going through a difficult time, I will try to evaluate what my options are and kind of pre-plan, the outcome, I guess. Um, hurdles come with transactions come with hurdles.
Yep.
And knowing how to overcome them without letting them blow up is a big thing. So a lot of times if there's something that comes up, I'm going to try to solve the problem or find out the solution. So when I come back to my clients or in a transaction, I'm not presenting them with a problem and leaving them with that problem to escalate or blow up or emotionally, struggle. I try to follow it back up with here are the solutions we have or the options you have. You're not stuck. We're here to protect you and your interests and try to work through those so there isn't that time for it to get out of control or to blow up into something bigger than it needs
So
to
you're
be.
really proactive with your communication.
Very, very intentional with my communication, what messages, get through, like sometimes you get a message and it's got this nasty tone to it. It's my job to take that nasty tone to it and relay the information without the negativity, you know,
Yep.
and being very intentional on, the message, the communication, making sure that, I'm being honest, but also not escalating something that doesn't need to be escalated.
You're putting a little sunshine and a little sugar on it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
You got to tone it down. Tell them I've been here before. I know this sucks to be in this position, but we can get through it. I promise you, there's something better around the corner,
Yep.
and I'm experiencing that with some clients right now. We're in multiple offer situations. They've missed out on a couple, and it's hard to get that
It is
rejection
so
over and over again.
stressful for clients.
But I keep letting him know that there's something better around the corner. It probably hasn't hit the market yet. We don't
Right.
know about it, but there's a reason why you're not getting these homes right now because a better one is coming. And when it's right, you'll know it, I'll know it, we'll all feel it. But right now, we're not going to understand, and it sucks and it hurts to feel this kind of rejection. Especially when you're offering good money, you're offering above asking price, you're
You
throwing
you
great
sound
terms.
you sound like a great empathetic leader. Like
Yes.
people are really following you.
Yes. I try to be.
Have you always been a leader?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where
Just
do you
part of
think
my
you get
DNA.
that from? You get that from your parents or
I get that probably from my father. He was
okay.
definitely a leader, business owner, hard-headed, gentleman. And I definitely picked that up from him and have been the hard worker and tried to, you know, be strong and powerful, especially a woman, sometimes in a hard
Yep.
business,
Yep.
and try to keep up, with the big hitters and the top producers.
Yep. Well, you're one of them.
Thank
I think that's awesome. Tell me a little bit what your business week looks like typically.
you. It's definitely not Monday through Friday. It's definitely not regular hours. I work all the time. When business happens, I'm available. If it's
You're making hay when the sun shines.
yeah, yeah. If it's a
Yep.
9 o'clock call, I got to make with my clients, that's what it is. If I have to step away from, an event with my family to, you know, send a counter offer, um, that's just the way this business works. And it doesn't take a break. We have contracts and time limits and time frames, and those don't stop, you know, at any part of the day. So just being able to be available when needed and execute quickly to hit the timelines and follow through on what you have. So it's weekend open houses, evening showings. Um, I don't go to the office a lot. I work a lot from my computer and from my listings, so
Yep.
I try not to waste the time driving to the office, working in the office, and, you know, chit-chatting it up. Instead, I'll work from my listings, I'll work from the neighborhoods that I'm working in or shopping for clients in, and really just try to be involved in that area. And you never know the opportunities that arise from going to broker caravans in the neighborhoods your clients are shopping on, letting other agents know what you're looking for. I've done a lot of off-market deals recently and pre-market. So having those relationships and that network is huge, especially in
Yep.
a competitive market.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Speaking about relationships, you are one of our original clients of this program when we were still a broker. Before we became Fusion Growth Partners, we were Fusion Real Estate Network, and we started experimenting with bringing people onto this program that were not a part of our brokerage, and in 2019 we went full time, not being a brokerage. But you've been with us really from the beginning. It might be 10 years from
Hmm.
this program, and I tell people, when we first started, our program was very ambitious, and and it was an SHIT show when we first
Was not.
started, and it was not at the level that we wanted it to be or what I imagined, and I had people like you that I believe knew that we were really doing our best
Yeah.
and have stuck with us. And I would just love to hear, what this journey has been like,
Sure.
um, from a unique perspective for someone who's been around
Yeah.
for so long, from the beginning and all of our growing pains,
Yeah.
and until I feel like we've got a really good thing going right now. But what's your perception and your experience?
Absolutely. So back when I joined Fusion, I was new in real estate. I was doing, a few deals a year, um, at a lower price point, and this is, 10 plus years now. And my goal was always to work up in price point and to eventually sell, $1 million homes. That
Like
was a
six
goal.
million dollar
Yeah.
homes?
Back then,
Yes.
that would have been unfathomable. I was hoping for 1 million, but yes, 6 million is definitely the peak.
Yeah.
Um, and what Fusion was offering at the time was stuff I knew I needed. But I felt like I could always like hire someone to do this part and hire someone to do that. And you always got bombarded by all these phone calls of people wanting to sell you stuff. And Fusion was offering a majority of that all with one company. And that's what appealed to me was, one contact, one person to reach out to all these needs versus, my website guy and my photographer guy and my flyer guy. Um, and I really knew I needed to elevate my business and my presentation in order to get and win those higher dollar listings from really competitive, really good agents. My market here is crazy, the agents that are here in San Diego. So I took the leap and joined Fusion, and it's been great. It's evolved. What I tell people now that ask me about Fusion is you've evolved with the times. So, we did this core amount of stuff back in the day, but as things progressed and you knew that we needed these things in real estate, like video marketing and drones and 3D and all these things, you were able to evolve the business to include those items and make sure that we're up to date with how quickly the real estate market is moving.
Yep. So you've been with us for, like I said, 10 years. You've worked with Carl Gates for a number of years,
Yes,
and he just
Carl.
absolutely loves you.
Carl's great.
And yeah, Carl's great, and has started as a partnership executive. He's now a senior VP in the company, and he has just so much energy and love for what he's doing and love for his clients, and you're right up there at the top of the list. And I just want to tell you that I so appreciate being in business with you. You're a great relationship to have, and I'm humbled by your willingness to let us serve you in the way that we do. And you have always treated us with kindness and respect, and um, you're a great partner to have. So thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you for picking me and allowing me to be a partner in this journey and um, keep improving my business and elevate it to the place I want it to be and need it to be um, for my business plan and my growth in the future. So looking forward to continuing our partnership. The coaches have been great. I've had different coaches over the year and they all have a different perspective. It's kind of cool to get someone else's perspective from outside of my state to tell me what other agents are doing, in Florida or, you know, in a different area and try to, open up, your experience bubble and maybe try things differently than what we're used to here in our niche market.
Yep. Krystal, thank you so much. This has
Thank
been
you.
great.
Absolutely. Welcome. Thanks for having me. And I appreciate your relationship and your partnership.
Feelings mutual.